Donna, I'll be admitting your students if you wanted. You can
Okay.
still go in the class. I'll just make you host right after we do live, okay? Thank you.
Okay. I'll just wait here.
Hey, Donna, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
I'm hanging in. I just wanted to take and tell you I'm grateful for these classes. Your like minds think alike, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
It's only 64 down here.
Oh, it's getting, well, it's nighttime now. Let me see what it is here. I would say we're probably close. Oh, 66.
Wow.
Warmed up from this morning. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Hi. Hey, Sherry. Good to see you.
I tell you, this is trying to figure out. I'm finally getting the hang of this thing.
Of Zoom? It takes a little bit.
Yeah, it sure does. Oh, gosh.
We'll give it a few more seconds to let people come in here.
Oh, look at that. Is that how I do it?
What are you trying to do?
I've got all these, I think I've got all these things on here that I can, almost backgrounds. Which
Oh, yeah, the background in Zoom.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh,
It's a miracle.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's the.
More.
Hi,
There
Donna.
you go.
I'm sorry. I already made you a host. So we're
Okay,
alive.
thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Donna,
Well,
is it gonna be Name That Tune on Friday again?
Yep.
Oh, good. I have to sign up.
Yep, we're
So
doing
much
that.
fun.
And we're doing, let me see if it's this, I don't know if it's this Friday. Let me look real quick here. Because since we have art folks in here. Oh, that's next week. Okay. Next Friday, we're going to do Name That Masterpiece.
Oh, no.
We can try seeing how good we are at naming the, different masterpieces that come up on the screen. See if we can figure out who painted it. And
fun.
yeah, that'll be fun. It'll be nice. It's an art discussion. I'm calling it an art discussion, but we're going to do it by, seeing if we can do a little Name That art piece. So look for that. I believe it's next Friday afternoon. All right. Let's see. I think we got a few more people in the waiting room. Let's let them in and then we'll get started. And Kim, I made you co-host. Oh, hi, Christine. Good to see you.
So excited.
I was just telling them, Christine, next Friday, we're going to do a class called Name That Masterpiece. It's kind of like Name That Tune, but we're going to see if we can figure out the masterpieces. Oh, boy. So you'll have to come to that.
Have you been able to get the Women Artists Part 2 scheduled?
I don't know if they've put it back on the schedule, but yeah, the next time we meet, we'll have to do I guess we do kind of need a part 2 though, because we left off in the middle.
It was so fabulous. It was so exciting.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah. Hi, Wanda. Good to see you too.
Hey, Donna.
I'm seeing all these faces. All right, let's get started. We've got a little art to look at tonight. I want to welcome everyone to Get Set Up. We're seniors teaching seniors about technology. And we also have classes like tonight. We're talking about some art. Tonight we'll be talking about the life and the art of Leonardo da Vinci. My name's Donna. I'm your guide tonight. I was in the IT industry for over 30 years. I enjoy helping people get over their fear of technology. And you can get a recording of this class by emailing help@getsetup.io. And we don't get paid to promote any products I might mention tonight. I don't know. I'm not going to be selling any Da Vinci paintings. I don't think I will be tonight. We'll see. I don't know. So we're going to talk a little bit of what Da Vinci's life was like, his most famous works, and his influence on art history. Has anyone ever seen any of Da Vinci's works? In a museum somewhere or anything? Christine?
Yes. Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, yeah. If you go to the Louvre in Paris, you'll definitely see that one.
And also they came to the Seattle Art Museum, his books
Oh, yeah.
that Bill Gates bought.
Oh, Bill Gates bought his books?
The Codex. Does
Oh,
anybody
really?
else know about that?
Well, I wonder what he paid for those.
And I think I actually saw him at the De Young too.
Well, he's famous. Yeah, I mean, he did paint art, but he was really into science and engineering.
Yeah.
And he had over 7,000 pages of drawings and engineering stuff that he did. So he really was, when you're talking about Leonardo da Vinci, you're really talking about an engineer, scientist on one side and an artist on the other. He really kind of played both sides. In fact, he did more work as an engineer than he did as a painter, if you were to add up his years of work. So his childhood, we're talking, he lived from 1452 to 1519. That was his span. He lived to be 67. In his childhood, we're talking about 1452 to 1466. He was born in Vinci, Tuscany in Italy. So he is Leonardo from Vinci. That's where his name comes from. He was an illegitimate child. His father, played around a little bit. So he was out of wedlock. He was raised a little bit by his mom, but mainly primarily by his paternal grandfather. He was the oldest of 12. They never held it against him as half brothers and sisters because that's scandalous at this time, 1452, to be born out of wedlock. That's, really scandalous, but, they treated him like anyone else in the family. And he had really basic informal education, just learned reading, writing, arithmetic, just the real basics, nothing fancy. He didn't come from, his dad was a notary, and his mom was just like a maid. She wasn't, they were very modest beginnings. So that's where he started out. This is a little current picture. It looks like a cute little town, Italy. So when he was 14, the family moved to Florence. And somehow his dad had some good connections being a notary. Maybe he was doing a lot of work for people. But he was able to get an apprenticeship with Andrea. Let's see if I get this right. I can't think of how to pronounce that. Sorry about that. I even looked it up and I forgot it. Anyways, he was a Florentine painter and sculptor. He remained with Andrea for 7 years. Even when he got his own little studio, his little art studio, Leonardo still worked with Andrea. He learned a lot from him. Quickly, Leonardo realized that not only was he interested in painting and sculpting and drawing, but he really was interested in anatomy, architecture, chemistry, mathematics, engineering. He really was interested in it all there. So in the works that he did with Andrea were the Baptism of Christ. This is what this painting looks like on the left here, and the Annunciation. Now, they did these together because he was studying under him. So let me show you what these look like here, just to give a little bit larger picture. Now, from what I can understand, Leonardo painted the angel here holding the robes.
Mhm.
And you can see a difference in the way they painted the figures between the two. And Andrea definitely could see that Leonardo was painting a little bit better than he was. Now, the story says that he never painted again, but that's not true. He continued painting. But, Leonardo was definitely at a young age a very good painter. And then the Annunciation, you can see a little bit more. Not too sure exactly what he painted here. It's kind of a mix between the two of them. Frequently when you have the students and the teacher would be painting these together. But you can see the landscaping in the back.
Mhm.
This is, you see a lot of this with Leonardo in his paintings, where he's got landscape, kind of that smoky effect that he created in the back. So once he finished, and he got his own studio in 1472, he was only 20 years old. He was a member of the Guild of St. Luke, which was a group of artists and scientists working together. He had two commissions that he got. 1478, he was supposed to paint an altarpiece for the Chapel of St. Bernard. And in the Palazzo Vecchio, this is what it looks like. This place is beautiful. Has anyone ever been here? Now, apparently, whatever he painted here got covered over the years. It got painted over. But this is quite the hall. And then the Adoration of Magi. It was for the monks of San Donato in Scopeto. Now, both of these were not completed. This is a theme with Leonardo. This is what this painting looks like. He did not finish either pieces. He had a little problem, as you can see from the slide.
Yeah.
Little problem, snag 1476. He and two other guys got accused of sodomy, and that is like punishable by death at that time. So somehow they charges got all dropped, but it kind of dogged him while he was there, and it really affected him. He was definitely a perfectionist, which is probably why it took him so long to paint things, because he wanted it to be perfect. And being such a perfectionist, he really didn't like people seeing him in that light. And he worked for a few more years in Florence, and then finally he left for Milan. So in Milan, he worked for the Duke of Milan. He did some very famous pieces here during this time. Virgin of the Rocks, The Last Supper, the Salvator Mundi picture, the one that has the globe. We're going to take a closer look at that one. That one is really fascinating. And of course, The Last Supper. So let's take a look at some of these paintings here. This is, they call it Madonna and Child, but this is supposed to be the Virgin. You can see this here. This one was, let's see, what year was this one? About 1503 to 1519. So he never quite finished this. He kept working on it. Even though it seemed pretty finished, he kept doting over it. So he worked on this for many years. Same thing like Mona Lisa. He worked 1503 to 1519. So he just wouldn't let it go. Like, he kept doing touch-ups and touch-ups, even though it was considered done. So this is how he was. It took him a long time to complete his paintings. So I'll try to point out how long some of these took. Now, The Last Supper. This, of course, very famous. This one, let's see, this took him from 1495 to 98. That one's not too bad. But they said that when he was working on this, he would work for 24 hours straight, or maybe 2 or 3 days straight, and then he would not work on it at all for about 5 days. So that was his work pattern. And he did experiment. Instead of doing the way they would do the frescoes, he mixed the paint different. And unfortunately, he was trying to get a certain effect. The effect he got, the way he mixed the paint, was a very vivid, and it'd be great to see what these look like after he painted them. It was much more vivid and lifelike than the normal frescoes were. But the problem was the technique he used. Within just a couple decades, like for instance, The Last Supper started flaking off the wall. So they unfortunately did not, stay put. Let me show you a little bit over here too, if they show some more pictures of it. That's a nice shot of what it looks like on the wall. Oh, and this is opposite of The Last Supper. This is what on the opposite wall. So you can kind of see what that looks like. And then this is the one. This is, what did I just say it was? Let me go back to my slide here. Oh, Salvatore. This is the one with the orb. You see how look how this looks.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's pretty cool how he could get that effect. And his students tried to repeat this. Yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating. It really looks like this clear orb. And this is a photograph taken of it. You can still see the orb here. And these are different renditions of it. This is an engraving. So this painting has been copied. Now, Leonardo, he did have a school at a certain point. He did have students under him, and they would try to recreate this painting. This painting, by the way, was sold 2017 for $450.3 million. It's the most expensive painting ever sold at a public auction. Now, this is before they cleaned it up. They cleaned it up in 2006. It was in bad shape. They did a good job on it. And here it is after it got its new frame, new restoration. You can see a little bit here where the wear and tear. They did a good job of fixing it up.
The detail in whatever that is going across, that copper color, like the detail in that.
Yeah, look at the detail
whatever that
here.
is, it's amazing. And also the hair. Look at the
look at the curls. Yeah, the curls, pretty good. And that orb.
Yep, unbelievable.
And that was his, a technique that he used, which hadn't been seen before. Someone doing this type of, and he was so fascinated with science. I'm sure this came from his science side, like trying to, create glass, the look of glass or something like that. And then some of his manuscripts, which he had a lot of. Were you going to say something, Christine?
Yeah, that looks like the codex. I put 2 links in the chat about the codex when Bill Gates bought it. And then I put the link from Wikipedia in there if people want to read about it.
How much did he buy it for?
It says in the article. Let me see.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
pull it up. $30 million in the story was 2015.
Oh,
Now, this is some copies. You can see the difference here. This is from the school, his school of Leonardo da Vinci. So you can see some of his students trying to do the technique. They're close. This must have been maybe this was a class project they had. See if you could paint, my painting.
That looks like an 8-ball.
Yeah, he's got it. I mean, it's clear.
Mhm. That's real good.
That's pretty good. Not quite. He didn't quite get that translucent look. He tried.
Mhm.
And here's another one. It's kind of interesting. They must have had to just each of them try to paint it. Here's another one. Another follower, Salvador Mundi. And this is mine. No.
Well, at least it looks like an orb.
It's got the orb, and I think whoever did this one, he's like, nah, forget it. I have no idea how he did the translucent part. Probably not one of his best students, I don't think. Here's another. Now this person here, just they're like, no orb.
That's kind of a scary Jesus.
Yeah, that is this is another one, another follow. They call him follower of. So these are people that, I don't know if they were students or they painted things later on, trying to do the Da Vinci style. Kind of interesting what they came up with. I like that one that does with the white ball. So those are the works that came out of Milan. Now, he was also commissioned to do this bronze horse statue. This was supposed to be a really big deal that he was going to make this statue. But, the French were invading at this time, and they took the bronze and it went towards making the cannons. So the bronze horse statue that he was supposed to make, this was supposed to be a really big sculpture for him. Ended up not being made. He did make the sculpture. So the sculpture, he did it in clay. And unfortunately, the French soldiers used it as target practice, and they just shot it all up with the arrows and broke it all into pieces. So that's what happened with his horse.
Do you have a picture of the horse?
I think somewhere there's some drawings of what, they never had a picture of it, but I think in his drawings, we might see some of those a little later. I think I did see a horse drawing.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Oh, yeah. This was very, very large statue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was going to be like a big thing. It was going to be one of his major works. And it just, after, once the French came in and took over, that was the end of the horse statue. So then he went off to Florence after the French invaded. He actually went to Venice for a little bit. In Venice, he did some engineering projects. He took care of, let's see, get some of the information from that. I believe he helped with their naval defense system that they needed. Did a few more projects around the area in Venice. He was only there for a couple of years, and then he went back to Florence once things cooled down there. And then he became pretty productive in Florence once he came back. And he secured a position with the court of Borgia. And there he did the Virgin Child with St. Anne over here and Mona Lisa. And then the Battle of Angari, which is a lost art. But let's see. Let me show you what happened to it. First of all, here's the first one. This is a retouched picture. Let me see if they have any more pictures of it. Oh, they're showing Oh, Freud. Okay.
Little psychology in there.
Yeah, I thought they would show a little bit more of it. And then, of course, the Mona Lisa. Let's see if they have any more renditions. Sometimes they show the renditions that he did. Here's a nice shot of the landscaping in the back that he did. He was really known for that. All these landscapes in the back. You can see the detail. Some detail of the hands.
Doesn't look like working hands.
No.
She isn't doing dishes.
And here's Raphael's drawing. And Raphael knew Leonardo. They all kind of, worked. I don't know if Raphael actually worked with them, but they knew of each other. And he looked up to Leonardo. And there's some little.
Do you know the story about the painting being stolen?
I think that's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Got stolen.
Yep.
They're showing that. It got returned. Do you know how long it was gone for?
Gee, I think it was like a year and a half, and it was a museum worker, and he had it in his apartment in Italy.
And here's the Mona Lisa today in the Louvre. All the
And
people standing there.
That's what it's like.
That's what it looks like. And
Really
then
can't
what'd you say?
You really can't see it. Crowd.
It's right.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get close to it.
And it's
because
so small.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so small. Now there they show a picture without the crowd.
Hey, Donna, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
One of the clips there for Mona Lisa it said that it was at the Uffizi, and I know
Yep.
it's at the Louvre. So can you go back to tell me when that was? Because I've been to Louvre and saw that. I actually saw it that same way with piles of people, and then I saw it when it was uncovered. Okay,
This
so
was
when was
in
that?
1913, so it must have
Oh.
moved to the Louvre.
Yeah, apparently,
At some
yeah.
point.
I just didn't catch the year. Okay, thank you.
Probably once you get a painting stolen from your museum, you probably gets put somewhere else. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the history is with this.
Yeah, well,
What happened with it?
The Mona Lisa, maybe many people on this call know, it was uncovered for a long time, even at the Louvre, and you could get up really close. I think I was
Right.
like 17 when I did that. And
Did you
then
touch it?
I did not, although, I'm
People
sure
probably were.
people did, but yeah, not a new story. So
Yeah. Well, and they did, we grew up in an age when everything was touched before they start putting everything behind plastic. So this is the battle picture, the Battle of Angari. Paul Rubens actually did a depiction of it, going off of some of the drawings. This painting is really a lost painting of Da Vinci's. But he kind of recreated it here. Let's see if they show. Here's another one. They think it's possibly made from the incomplete work.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't know what happened to it. Here's some more drawings. Yeah, so here's, his artwork, a lot of unfortunate situations with being unfinished or just being lost. He did move around a lot. That's for sure. He definitely moved around a lot. So when he went back to Milan, 1508 to 1513. He worked for King Louis the 12th and the French governor of Milan. He did mainly engineering, though, here. He worked on a bridge for them. He worked on some irrigation, the water pipes in the city. It's pretty amazing that he knew how to do all this type of stuff. But he really worked a lot as an engineer on all these places. When he kept moving from Florence to Venice, he was doing engineering projects. So in this period in Milan, he really was working on a lot of them. He worked on a villa for the governor of Milan, Charles, built a bridge under Lake Como. He did a waterway under there to help bring water from Lake Como into Milan. So he did a lot of work like that. And then there was the expulsion of French people out of Milan. And at that point, he went to Rome for 3 years. And he did more engineering projects in Rome. He met, and he got some connections in Rome, though. King Francois I in France, he met while in Rome, and he was given a position there. He was called the first painter or engineer of the French royal court. And it really was a do-nothing position. He was older now at this point, so he really could just do whatever he wanted. He was very good friends with the king. They believe around this time, he did this St. John the Baptist. And to show you what this looks like, this is the painting here. Now, and this painter here, Sala, he's a friend. He was a friend of Leonardo's from the age of 10, and they pretty much spent their whole life together. They traveled everywhere. So he did learn some painting from Leonardo. You can see some more here. They say that he wasn't that good, though, as far as the recreating the painting. All right, I'm going to play a little video here for you to watch about Leonardo. Make sure we get some sound.
Leonardo was among the most important painters of the Italian Renaissance and the father of the High Renaissance style.
Leonardo da Vinci was born on April 15, 1452, in Vinci, Italy. By age 14, he was apprenticing under the famous artist Verrocchio.
One of Leonardo's greatest contributions to painting was his introduction of the idea of sfumato, which essentially means smoky, and is a way of producing atmospheric perspective in paintings.
Da Vinci became a master artist in the Guild of St. Luke at age 20, and in 1482 moved to Milan and began taking commissions from wealthy patrons.
One of the earliest complete works he did was the Annunciation, which has that spectacular background that he had perfected.
The most famous work and the most important one that Leonardo produced while in Milan was his Last Supper for the refectory of the Church of Santa Maria della Grazia.
He left Milan in 1499 and traveled throughout Italy, working for a number of different patrons.
Leonardo's 1503 commission for the Battle of Anghiari represented a high point in his life. It was a vast project, a fresco painting that would have decorated one wall of the Grand Council chamber in the Palazzo Vecchio in Florence. And Michelangelo was to paint the other wall facing. The project never came to be.
During the early 1500s, Da Vinci also began painting the Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa is one of Leonardo's most important works. It's today one of the world's most famous paintings.
I can't think of any other work that has so consistently fascinated people.
Leonardo da Vinci was a true Renaissance man. He's well known as a great artist, but in fact, he also made great contributions to foundations of science.
He engaged in projects like designs to reroute rivers, urban planning, the creation of pedestrian streets in the centers of cities, all designed to cut down on the chaos of life around him.
Leonardo went to Rome to work for Pope Leo X in 1513, and he stayed about 3 years.
While there, he practiced dissections and laid the foundations for the study of human anatomy.
He spent his final years in the employ of the King of France, producing works for him as well as for other members of the French nobility.
Leonardo da Vinci died on May 2nd, 1519 in Ambrose, France. Such was his stature that it was said he died in the arms of the French king.
Leonardo is deservedly one of history's most famous painters. As the founder of the High Renaissance style, as one of the greatest naturalists who ever lived, he's someone who we continue to admire today.
And I'd like to also play a little clip about some of the inventions that Leonardo came up with. He's way ahead of his time.
Hello and welcome to Now You Know. These are my top 7 picks from Leonardo da Vinci's inventions. Number 7, the self-propelled cart. The self-propelled cart was one of the many inventions that Leonardo created dealing with locomotion and transportation. Leonardo's cart was powered by coiled springs, and it also featured steering and brake capabilities. When the brake was released, the car would propel forward. Da Vinci's cart design was so ahead of its time that its exact workings baffled scholars until late in the 20th century. But in 2006, Italy's Institute and Museum of the History of Science in Florence built a working model based on Da Vinci's design, and, to the surprise of many, the cart actually worked. Number 6, the machine gun. The way Leonardo da Vinci saw it, the problem with the cannons of the time was that they took far too long to load. His solution to that problem was to build multi-barreled guns that could be loaded and fired simultaneously. While one set of cannons was being fired, another set would be cooling and the third set could be loaded. This system allowed soldiers to repeatedly fire without interruption. Leonardo da Vinci's design for the 33-barreled organ is generally regarded as the basis for the modern-day machine gun, a weapon that didn't really develop for commercial use until the 19th century. Number 5, the parachute. Da Vinci made a sketch of the invention with this accompanying description. If a man had a tent made of linen, of which the apertures or openings have all been stopped up, and it be 12 braccia, which is about 23 feet across, and 12 in depth, he will be able to throw himself down from any great height without suffering any injury. Daredevil Adrian Nichols constructed a prototype based on Da Vinci's design and tested it. Despite skepticism from experts, Da Vinci's design worked as intended, and Nichols even noted that it had a smoother ride than the modern parachute. Number 4, the robot knight. Designed for a pageant in Milan, which the Duke had put Leonardo in charge of overseeing, the robot knight consisted of a knight suit filled with gears and wheels that were connected to an elaborate pulley and cable system. Through these mechanisms, Da Vinci's robot knight was capable of independent motion, sitting down, standing up, moving its head, and lifting its visor. Using several different Da Vinci drawings as blueprints, roboticist Marc Rochim built a prototype of the robotic knight in 2002, which was able to walk and wave. Number 3, the diving suit. Originally designed as a way of warding off invading ships, Da Vinci's diving suit would allow men to engage in a little underwater sabotage by cutting holes in the bottom of the enemy's hull. The leather diving suit was equipped with a bag-like mask that went over the diver's head. Attached to the mask, around the nose area, were 2 cane tubes that led up to a cork diving bell floating on the surface. Unfortunately, the design, complete with breathing hose and glass goggles, wasn't needed at the time and would only find itself submerged in planning stages. Number 2, the armored tank. The precursor to the modern tank, Leonardo da Vinci's armored car invention was capable of moving in any direction and was equipped with a large number of weapons. The platform was covered by a large protective cover reinforced with metal plates, which was to be slanted to better deflect enemy fire. The motion of the machine was to be powered by 8 men inside of the tank who would constantly turn cranks to spin the wheels. Despite its elaborate design, Da Vinci's tank has a major flaw. The powering cranks went in opposite directions. This made forward motion impossible. Scholars suggest that Da Vinci, a pacifist at heart, may have inserted the flaw intentionally to discourage the war machine from ever being built. And number 1, the flying machine. One of Da Vinci's most famous inventions, the flying machine, also known as the ornithopter, ideally displays his powers of observation and imagination. It had a wingspan that exceeded 33 feet, and the frame was to be made of pine covered in raw silk to create a light but sturdy membrane. To power the wings, the pilot would pedal a crank connected to a rod and pulley system. The machine also had a hand crank for increased energy output and a headpiece for steering. Unfortunately, while the flying machine may have flown once it was in the air, a person could never have created enough power to get the device off the ground. You are no longer ignorant concerning these matters. Now you know.
It is pretty fascinating that he, at the time that he was around, that he thought of these things. They didn't even have electricity.
So far ahead of his time.
I
and
know.
he was
It's like
so
how
diverse in the things. It's too bad he thought of the gun. I'm disappointed in that.
Yeah, that's true. That's too bad. Yeah.
With
But it
all
is kind
the
of fascinating.
Yeah, the focus on art and the focus on beauty and how the gun. So I'm wondering if that was part of what the kings, the people in power wanted
Probably.
him to create stuff like that. And I have a feeling that's what he was charged with.
Well, he would do he did those engineering projects for the Navy and different things. So I think that's where probably those came about. Because like they said, he was a pacifist. He was not into the war. He wasn't into war and that type of thing. So looking here, just to show you, this is an article, and I'll give you a link to these in the email. You can see the detail. He did about 30 dissections when he was in Rome, when he was working for the Pope. And, that was really frowned upon. They didn't like that he was doing that. But look, it's amazing, his drawings of the human body. When you look at this. Yeah, at this time, though, the art schools, they did study the human body. The anatomy was an art course when you took art.
Donna, I didn't hear, and I don't know if you did the research, did he actually marry? Did he actually have children?
No, he never had a significant relationship with any woman that they know of. He mentioned relatives of his, but in his writings, all these journals he kept, he didn't really talk about his personal life. It was, it was believed that he was gay, and that it was Sari and this other guy, a student that he met later on in life, that he lived with for a period of time, and was there until he died. That those were probably his partners.
So no heirs. All this unbelievable stuff.
He left everything to his. That's Solari, who was his childhood friend from 10 years old. He got all the artwork and everything. And look at this, the detail in his drawings. The fact that he could do all this. And then, of course, he took a lot of notes. This is the digestive system.
Unbelievable.
The skull. And then he had sketches of the heart.
And it's unbelievable. This has survived for 500 years.
Yeah. And then another one to look at here. There's some more different, the drawings that he's did. So many of them. Oh, and this landscape drawing here, this is believed to be, and I have it right here, this is his first thing when he got out on his own in his own studio. They believe this was his first drawing that he did. I think this is his possible birthplace and childhood home. And then again, his paintings, Baptism of Christ. This is the one he did with Andrea. This is unfinished, this one here. That's the first true landscape that he drew. He did do portraits. And some of his portraits, you'd notice the, well, besides the Mona Lisa with her little smirk that she has, sometimes there's a hanging he drew. Sometimes in the portraits, the subject is turning to the side, looking off to the side, which is unusual for a portrait. Usually you're just looking forward. This is just one of his sketches. Portrait of a musician. This is another one. Vitruvian Man. There's your horse. The sketch of the horse that he was going to make, the statue. The Virgin and the Child of St. Anne. Now this one looks unfinished, but I'm not too sure if it's just aged. This is not the Louvre. Now he did do maps. He did a lot of maps for kings and queens too. If they wanted maps of different areas, to help with battles primarily, they wanted the maps for. And so he was a map maker too.
I wonder if he never, I wonder, it seems like, how could he possibly sleep with all the things and the way you described, how he worked?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so unbelievable what his mind was like to create so many things and have such a diverse ability.
Well, yeah, because he was like an ideas guy. He's constant ideas. All these sketches of all the inventions he did, constantly having different ideas. And he took a long time to complete paintings too. That tells you that he was a perfectionist. When he did the Last Supper, one of his problems was he felt like he wasn't drawing the face of Christ good enough. And so that kind of set in a little procrastination for him, because he had to get, he wanted to get it just right. I like the colors are great in this one. In the background. Oh, this is St. Jerome. This is the one that's at the Vatican. This is the only one in the Vatican of Leonardo, and it's unfinished. This is St. Jerome. He's doing penance, and he has a rock in his hand, and he's beating himself in the chest. And he's got his pet lion. The story goes is he pulled a thorn out of the lion's paw, and it became his buddy. But this one is another one that he didn't quite finish it. This is another, this is an idea, I was just saying some portraits where they're looking off to the side. This is unusual for like a royal portrait to have that. Usually they're more formal, very stoic looking. And the Last Supper.
Don, have you heard the story about the building the Last Supper is in, that it went through a fire earthquake, but the Last Supper survived? Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Really? Do you know what year that happened in?
I don't. But I think Rick Steves tells that story in one of his trips to Milan, because he actually gets into the building with the tour guide, just it's Rick Steves and the tour guide in front of the Last Supper.
Oh, I have to look for that one. Here's some more of the drawings. All his anatomy. And there's his flying machine. His tank. That was interesting that they do recreate some of these to see if they work. And this is a statue of Leonardo in Florence, outside of the Uffizi. And here's the death. Here's the king. They were very good friends, apparently. And this was a recreation of what happened at the time he died. The king was in the room there with him. And that's has anyone been to the Leonardo Museum in Vinci? So they've got a museum there. And they've got all his little inventions, different models of them, what they would look like. And this is supposed to be where his tomb is. His remains were in a church which got hit by an earthquake. Yeah, Italy has a lot of. Well, actually, no, this is in France. I think it was still an earthquake there. Something happened with it. It was. Everything was destroyed, and they had to just go through, and they found a skeleton which they believed was Da Vinci. So they're really not too sure about the remains of him, because they did relocate the skeleton which they believe was him. So now, they're not too sure about the remains, unfortunately, because of the destruction.
Maybe they'll do a DNA test, see how old they are.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great, huh? They could do that, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And it looks like the remains are in France then.
Yeah, they're in France. Yeah, because he died in France. Yeah, he had that last job for the king, and really it was a do-nothing position. He was just there. He didn't really do much at all because he was older, and it was just a place for him to just finish out his days. So that's the presentation about Leonardo. Anyone have any questions or anything or comments?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Donna is
That's
fabulous.
good.
It's just so exciting. All this research
you.
you're doing and sharing with us art lovers. Thank
Yeah,
you.
the art lovers.
I look
That's
forward
right.
to what's next?
Yeah.
You have to come to name that masterpiece.
Yes. Do you know what time it is, Donna?
Oh boy, I think it's next Friday.
The 8th.
I think it's 4 p.m. on Pacific time.
This on
Next Friday, yeah.
Not this Friday, but next.
Not
Friday,
this
right?
one, but the following one, yeah.
Well, so do you have anybody else you're doing research on right now?
Beethoven next week. We're doing Beethoven.
Yay!
We'll get to listen to some music of his.
Yes.
He's another one that's going to be interesting.
He is. Have you seen the movie Beloved?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you must watch.
Where is it? Where is it playing? Because these days I don't know where everything
No,
is.
no,
Is
no.
it
That's
on Netflix?
old. No,
Oh,
you
it's old.
you
Okay.
get it on Netflix. You get it somewhere.
Okay.
It's been out a long time ago, but that'll be your presentation because the movie is amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, right, Christine? Gary Oldman
I
plays
don't
Beethoven.
remember who played Beethoven. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But if you're going to talk about Beethoven,
Yes.
they give you his life.
It's really.
Yeah, and he's got some great music.
Oh,
It's next week, right?
Yeah, that'll be
9th,
next week.
The 5th, absolutely. Bring it
Yeah,
on.
I think it's next Monday or Tuesday. That's something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be looking forward to
So you can find
that.
the movie anywhere.
Anywhere. All right.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Thank
I want to thank everyone for coming here today. Other classes, we have Famous Art of the Vatican. We're going to be doing the Colorful World of Chihuly. Anyone a Chihuly fan?
Oh, yeah.
He's Seattle, Donna. He's
I know.
Seattle.
He's from your hometown.
Yeah, he's got a beautiful exhibit right below the Space Needle.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to talk about his life, and we're going to look at all his exhibits all over the world, because he has got some great gardens that, oh man, he's got some beautiful stuff all
Oh,
over the
yeah,
place.
definitely. Oh,
Oh
fantastic.
yeah, definitely. That'll be fun to go check out his artwork. So colorful. And we have the famous women in art history. We had quite a lively discussion last week on this one.
We sure did.
Yeah, that was good.
So Donna, he
Oh.
has the Chihuly Museum in Tacoma, which I've been to and watched them make art. So look
Oh.
that up.
Yes.
You can
yes.
actually go in and watch them make it, and his art museum is wonderful.
Yeah. And his work is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's so colorful.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating. So if you've
That's
never heard of him, you have
This
to come
is
and check him out.
And he's alive.
And he's alive. He's about 84, I think he is, something like that.
I think he's younger than that. I think he's younger than me.
Well, I don't know. I'll look that up.
Okay. Yep.
I thought he was like 84, but I might be confusing him with someone else. But anyways, we'll definitely go and check out his stuff, because I've got to see him when he was here in San Francisco. Oh my God.
Cool.
You know, it's just beautiful. Beautiful stuff.
Yep.
So you'll get an email after this class with feedback. You can fill out your feedback. Any class ideas that you would like to see for classes, go ahead and put that in there. Again, we have the help@getsetup.io email. That's the place to ask questions. If you want to volunteer to host a session, maybe you like art or music, or you like to garden or something like that, let us know and we'll get you set up with your own little hour. You can meet people in the community. And if you know of a senior living or assisted care type situation, or if they could use our services, go ahead and give their name to us, and our people will contact them to see if they would like to come in and use our services. And again, you can request the session recording by emailing help@getsetup.io. All right, everyone, have a great night. It was great having you here, and we'll see you guys next time. Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.